So, Supergirl is out, and I gotta be honest.
You ever get the feeling something really bad is about to happen?
Now, the comic run that this movie is based on is a certified hood classic. This is one of my favorite comic books I've ever read. The story and the dynamic between Supergirl and Ruthie makes for some great banter, and the two characters change each other in minor and major ways over the course of the issues in really natural ways. It's an exceptional story about grief and the morality of revenge. Supergirl's character arc in this comic, and watching her push and pull between her desire to live a fun, carefree life and the responsibility that she feels she has to use her powers for, is such a fun and unique take on the responsibility conflict that superheroes are so closely associated with. Also, the art for this story is just sick. It's so vibrant and it's just insanely pleasing to look at. Look how good this is. I want to hang this bad boy up on my fridge.
So I did.
I don't have a color printer. This is an exceptional comic, but unfortunately, I don't think it translates into a very good movie.
Well, this sucks.
If I can say anything kind about this movie, Millie Alcock is really good as Supergirl. She captures that nonchalant party girl with a tortured other side very well, and I have no issues with her performance. Unfortunately, the script she has to work with is how you say shit. For starters, the comic run this movie is based on takes place over a pretty lengthy period, so you're already shooting yourself in the foot by trying to turn that into an under 2-hour movie. This movie is only an hour 45 minutes long, so the dynamic between Supergirl and Ruthie does not get enough time to be fleshed out. The movie wants you to care so much more about these two's relationship than it's earned. They simply don't have enough time together for any relationship between them to feel natural. Ruthie is a fine enough foil for Supergirl and moral backbone of the movie, but she just stands around the entire movie talking about how she wants revenge and then not doing anything about it. They literally make a joke in the movie about how she keeps repeating herself, and then they just keep doing it anyway. Her usage in this story misunderstands what makes her role in the comic run so vital to why it works. She feels like a side character for most of the story when she should be the co-lead of the movie. The villain is also laughably bad. Clem can be boiled down to just a goon who likes to kill and is quirky and jolly, and that's pretty much it. He has no character traits or any reason why I should care about him as a person. He just stands around killing people and then Fortnite dancing on their graves. I don't need every villain to have some backstory that makes you understand their point of view, but they still need a character arc if I'm going to be engaged in their relationship with the heroes. And Clem is just a generic, forgettable villain just because the movie needs conflict to proceed. He has no traits, he's just a guy. Jason Momoa is here as Lobo. Yep, that's pretty much all there is to him. He's good in this role, I can't deny. This feels like the role he was born to play, but he doesn't really have any narrative purpose for being here. He adds nothing to the story. You could take him out and nothing changes at all. His only purpose is to expand this universe, but he doesn't offer anything that improves this movie. So in my Superman video, watch that too by the way, it's linked below, I said I didn't have a problem with skipping over Superman's origin story because people know that by now, so it wasn't necessary for that movie. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can apply that same logic to Supergirl. She hasn't had nearly the same amount of media representation as Superman, so you really need to give people a proper introduction to her story, because before this movie you had like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And I think this movie really underdevelops Supergirl's origin for a first look at the character. You get a handful of scenes showing her life before now, but they feel almost thrown in at random without any real reason for being placed where they are, and it just throws the pacing all out of whack. As a whole, the pacing feels almost reversed from what it should be. Some scenes feel way longer than necessary, and others feel like they end way too abruptly and not like the scene's full purpose was fulfilled. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. It just feels off. The movie seems to almost prioritize the wrong things. Scenes that don't really serve much plot relevance seem to get way more focus than the ones that actually move things along. And on the topic of focusing on the wrong things, a lot of the action seems committed to being as uninteresting as possible. It improves in the second half, but so many fights in the first half of this movie would consistently cut away from the action, so you never actually see any impacts get made. The editing was incredibly choppy, and yet the action that did appear on screen would feel incredibly slow and weightless. The second half it does get a bit better, but it still ain't looking very good. I really don't have another way to put this. This movie is just kinda hideous. I praised the comic run for its art style. It seemed like they were using every single color of the rainbow they could, but this movie seems committed to only using hues of brown. Sets are brown, fight scenes are brown, even the costumes are brown. The awful lighting and the lack of any color makes this movie so difficult to watch because I couldn't even see half of the things happening. There is a single portion of this movie that seems to actually be trying to have a visual identity, and it's the one part of the movie that my eyes weren't glazing over at the sheer amount of doo-doo caca colored nothingness. boringness. And lastly, the music is just so dull and lifeless. There is not a single track from this movie that I remember. So much of it sounded like generic stock music meant to tie to the emotion that scene is portraying, and it had zero impact on me. Compared to Superman, where every track is a certified banger, this just felt so bad by comparison.
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck in my opinion.
Yeah, this movie is pretty bad. I'm not even sure why misogynistic losers are even hating this movie just for having women in it. The movie is already bad enough without having to bring up pointless gender wars. As a proud normal human being who doesn't just hate women for no reason, I can say that women are pretty cool.
I agree with that.
And I wish they could get some better superhero movies, because this one ain't exactly doing them any favors. I think the last little chunk of this movie works decently well, and I think Millie Alcock and Jason Momoa are solidly cast in the roles of Supergirl and Lobo, but that's about all I've got in terms of praise for this movie. So I'll give Supergirl an unfortunate 4 out of 10.